just a few things first before getting started. Bathrooms are over there. There's kind of a sign on the wall past the bikes. The Wi-Fi is runway guest, and the password is code happy, one word with a capital C. And it's also written on that whiteboard if you don't remember that. And if you are tweeting, I was asked to ask you guys to include runway_IS because we are at Runway Incubator. I'll do a couple announcements after the speakers though. So our first speaker is Steve Dekorte, and he's speaking on anonymous decentralized markets with no trusted third parties. Thanks.
Hey everyone. This is about Bitmarkets and on a decentralized market. This work was done with some friends of mine, Rich Collins, Chris Robertson, and Adam Thorsen. We worked on this for a good part of last year, and this is the third talk we've given on it. And it's a no fees, no middlemen, no altcoin market. We're not in this for money. We're just trying to provide a solution to this problem that everybody can use. It's an open protocol, it's open source. It's been working since November. We call it a beta, but we mean it's a real beta. It's an actually working beta. And it's been working since November of last year. So you'll probably recognize this quote. I've been working on a new electronic cash system that's fully peer-to-peer with no trusted third party. Those are the first words of Satoshi Nakamoto. And with Bitmarkets, we're trying to ask, can we do this for markets? Can we make a fully peer-to-peer with no trusted third-party marketplace? So the two problems you have to solve are the order book, which are traditionally centralized, how to decentralize that, and then how to deal with escrow, since you can't just trust a random anonymous person that you want to do a transaction with. The order book problem is the easiest to solve, or the most obvious. You just have all the users share an order book. They can post sales that they have, they can share them among themselves. We use the BitMessage network to do this for us using a public channel. It's all done over Tor, so it maintains anonymity or location hiding. So that's the easy part. The escrow part is something new. There are traditional centralized markets use themselves as the escrow agent, and other decentralized markets use a marketplace of escrow agents to try to solve this problem. But you always have to worry, is the escrow agent actually the person who posted the sale? With anonymous identities, you never know that. Like, even if it's a very trusted agent, maybe they build up a lot of trust, and then they post some sales to take advantage of that trust, and they sign over all the transactions to themselves. So this is an idea to try to solve that problem without having to trust anybody. The idea is that the buyer puts up twice the price of the item, and the seller puts up once the price of the item. And they lock these mutual deposits and the payment into a Bitcoin transaction with a 2-of-2 multi-signature. And I think I might need power. But I can continue to describe it while somebody hooks up power if we have it. Or
oh, you need power.
I think I might need.
All right.
So the idea is you lock this into a 2-of-2 multi-sig, and then both parties have a strong incentive to finish the transaction because neither can now profit from defrauding the other. If the seller doesn't send the item, the buyer won't release their deposit, so the seller has no incentive not to send the item, otherwise they're going to lose the deposit. If they do send the item, and the buyer doesn't sign the payment, then the buyer's going to lose their deposit. So they don't have any incentive to do that. They're going to lose the price of the item, and clearly they had enough incentive to set up the transaction in the first place, so they have enough incentive to release it. Like, they could buy another item with that amount of money. money. So they have a strong incentive to sign it over. So yeah, this is just a diagram kind of showing that. Both sign the escrow, it's locked into a Bitcoin transaction. We get a lot of questions about where are these Bitcoins stored? You kind of need to understand how multi-sig works. These are locked in a Bitcoin transaction. So they're in the network, but nobody can spend them until both agree how they're going to be released. And you can sign a release transaction, or you can sign a refund transaction. But both parties have to decide which of those they're going to do. And we think that using this system, neither can profitably defraud the other. And it seems pretty clear from that any repeated bad actors are just going to go bankrupt very quickly. So on the long term, even if there are malicious actors at first, they're going to go bankrupt, and you're only going to be left with the people who act in good faith. Here's a little chart to kind of make it, I hope you can read it, to make it a little clearer, that the only situation in which either party can profit is if they both act in good faith. I kind of already went through this, but there's an asymmetry to who loses how much, depending on who defrauds the other. But no matter who defrauds the other, the defrauder is going to lose money too. The sort of game theory behind this is related to the ultimatum game. It's a psychological experiment you may have heard of, where they take two people who don't know each other. They set them down and they say, you can't talk to each other, but we're going to give one of you a big stack of money, and you have to decide how to split it with the other person, and they get to decide whether they accept it. If they don't accept it, we take the money away from both of you. If they do accept it, you both get to keep it. And what they found when they carry out this experiment with people across different cultures is that for the most part, unless it's roughly half and half, maybe like 40-60 split, the other person will punitively turn down the money, even if they don't know the other person, who could be just a stand-in for the experimenters, right? This is free money, basically. They will punitively give up free money in order to penalize the other person for acting in a way they consider unfair. So our system kind of relies on the results of that experiment, that people will act punitively, and as long as they're willing to do that, it'll keep everybody honest. So this is what the user interface looks like. This is the Bitcoin wallet for it. Right now it's just running on OS 10. We're working on porting the same code base using GNU Step to Windows and Linux, and hope to have that done later this year. This is what browsing posts looks like. It's pretty easy to go down into a category you choose, which geographical region you're in. We basically divide them by where you can mail something without having to worry about it going through customs. And then different categories and subcategories. And you can post items, describe them, include a single photo of them at the moment, and browse the ones that you find. Because it uses Bitmessage, it takes a little while. You have to run the app for a while and sync with the Bitmessage network to see the items. That usually takes like an hour the first time around, but after that it's faster. This is what it looks like to post a sale and to follow it through the different stages. It's hard to read it on the screen, but these different sections here are whether it's listed, whether you receive bids, whether the escrow is locked. The dispatch section of that asks you for, or asks the buyer for an address, which gets sent over Bitmessage to the seller. And when the seller sends that, they wait to see the buyer has requested a refund or a payment, and they can accept that, and then it's complete. Okay, so the goal of all this is to create the possibility of doing transactions in a new kind of way, in a way that doesn't involve the typical systems for creating trust, which are courts, people with guns, that show up and say, you defrauded this other person, and we're going to set this straight. Maybe they are on the right side of that, maybe they're on the wrong side of that, who knows? But with this system, we hope you can do a whole set of transactions, maybe not all transactions, but maybe a large set of transactions that would normally be done without any of those traditional mechanisms, a voluntary economy. So the app, the source, the white paper, the protocol spec are all available, and we would welcome any contributors or users, and I welcome your questions. Yeah, so the question was, what are the differences with OpenBazaar? The main one that we see is that OpenBazaar uses a marketplace of escrow agents, or at least that's one of the models that they're proposing. Ours doesn't have any escrow agents, it's all two-party escrow. There are some other ones about how they implement their transport network, their messaging network. We just build on something that already existed with Message and that we trusted. I think they've implemented their own. I'm not an expert, but it sounded like they implemented their own, and it required some things like you have an always running server, and theirs was sort of store-oriented. Ours is more like an eBay or Craigslist oriented, where you post individual items instead of having a store. Because of the escrow agent situation, they need a trust network. And so there's probably quite a bit of complexity around that. Ours eliminates all that. There are types of transactions where you're going to need trust networks in the future. Things like ride-sharing services where you have to trust your personal safety to somebody, things like that. But for the markets that we're aiming for, delivered items over the mail, we're hoping that two-party escrow solves the problem without the need for reputation systems or escrow agents.
The OpenBazaar system uses nodes that serve as escrow services, and they get a small fraction of a fee for providing that service. With yours, I didn't see you mention any escrow fee.
Right, since it's between two parties, there's no fees at all.
No fee involved.
There's no middleman, nobody takes a cut, nobody has a power. Besides the fees and besides the trust problem, a big problem with escrow agents is that they have no way to fairly resolve a dispute. If a dispute arises and they didn't intercept the package on the way, all they've got is one person's word against another. How do they resolve that? I don't see any fair way for them to do that. So this solves that problem as well as eliminating fees.
So you mentioned the ultimatum game as like one of the basis for justifying this escrow model. But in that game, the parties should be able to communicate to each other, right?
That's right.
How do you prevent people from communicating with each other?
So the question was, with the ultimatum game, the parties can't communicate, and how do we enforce that constraint? In our system, we don't have any chat. There's no, you can see a Bitcoin identity or a Bitmessage identity, but we don't provide any sort of interface to send them messages. All you see is they've accepted a bid, they sent the address. I mean, the one hole there is that an address gets shared. So they could potentially send a physical letter saying, hey, download this program, sign over this thing. But again, there's plausible deniability that that's the actual address associated with the person. And
so it's just a physical address that you show? There's no other...
We show a Bitmessage address, but...
Send a Bitmessage out of that?
You could send a Bitmessage, but our client doesn't provide any way of viewing those messages. It just ignores anything that it sees that isn't a structured JSON format that it expects for the different parts of this transaction. So it just deletes those.
Is there anything you can do against the attack where the guy says, look, I'm definitely not going to send you the package, you lost and I'm a scammer, but if you want any of your deposit back, you better just say everything went okay. You either get nothing or...
Right. So if they sent that, the only way they have to send that was over physical mail, and that would be from the seller to the buyer.
Or through Bitmessage.
Well, we don't provide any way for them to do that. They would have to set up another Bitmessage client extract the key pairs from our client, and then, it would be an involved process, basically. And the other side, would have to explicitly do that in order to be able to receive messages from scammers asking them to be scammed, So
Anything else will just send you a letter at the time.
right, so that's the situation you have to worry about. They can send the physical letter from the seller to the buyer. But here we rely on the ultimatum game of the person wants to scam you, as long as this is an amount that isn't burdensome for you to lose. If it's, the ultimatum game found that people, up to a month's salary, people would be willing to lose it to punish what they saw as a bad actor. So as long as it's not above that amount, then even if you received it in the physical mail, the results of this experiment suggest that you would just punitively not sign a payment. On the right. Okay, so that was a sort of a comment more than a question. Okay.
How long until you think this product is going to derail people, or perhaps make obsolete things like small claims courts, civil lawsuits? That's where I'm envisioning all of it going. I was wondering if you felt the same.
I don't know how to predict that. I've actually been surprised that we've had this working since November and no one seems to be interested so far. This is actually really awkward for me to give presentations. I'm a developer, not a marketing person. And I kind of, after months of no one being interested, thought, oh, maybe my time would be better spent telling people about it than it would be spent working on it. So that's kind of why I'm here. And I'm really glad to see so many people seem to be interested in it. So far I've been surprised, and I don't think I'm good at making predictions about that, but that's what we'd like to see.
So that's like the expected outcome is that people are going to be comfortable enough in knowing the utility that each player has for making the transaction, that it becomes a very sure thing that the outcome will be exactly the same every single time. Is that where?
Right, yeah. One of the big problems we've had is just explaining this idea that this can solve the problem without a third-party escrow agent. People are kind of used to that. All markets up to this point have always used a third party, whether it's the marketplace itself or other parties, or being able to, appeal to the courts or something and having a signed document. It's a new idea and it's really hard to kind of communicate it. I don't know how to do it. We're still trying to figure that out. I'd welcome your suggestions, anybody's suggestions on how to do that. John?
Do you think there might be mental hurdles for people because there's actually a cost to buying things? Like, when I buy something off of eBay, I pay once, but with this system, I pay double for everything.
Right. The question is whether the buyer having to put up twice the amount is one of the problems. It seems reasonable that might be. Until it's really clear that what you're buying with putting up twice the price is the guarantee that no one can profitably defraud you, which is really valuable. And as well as the fact that the seller has to put up a deposit, and that gives them a strong incentive to get the item out the door as quickly as possible. Like with a lot of Kickstarters, you kind of wonder, are they just holding my money and earning interest on it, or or with any company you order something from, they can kind of if it's significant enough amount of money, they can make money just on the float of waiting to manufacture and send out the item. With this, you have an incentive, they have an incentive to send it out as quickly as possible. So you're buying that as well with the extra price, but yeah, that might be a problem too.
So you said you've not seen much interest. Can you extrapolate how many transactions or how many posts you see? Are we tracking none? Or
When we first put it out, there were a handful of posts like from Europe that were like cell phones and little computers and things like that. There was one guy in the UK that I think was selling cigarettes, and that was about it. And we haven't seen much since then. I have a couple posts on there myself of things I actually want to sell, like things that I would sell on Craigslist, but the market is too small locally. So yeah, that's about all we've seen so far.
Thanks so much for presenting. First off, the thing I'm just wondering about, this might be a bit of a huge question. I'm just not that familiar with the alternative game and the mechanics behind it. Is there a reason that the buyer sort of the deposit is 2x and not like 1.5x? Does it just matter that there's asymmetry there, or does it have to be twice the price?
Yeah, well, we talked about this in the white paper. We wanted to use a number that seemed like it was very clear that incentives would be aligned in pretty much any case, and that would be symmetric. And we kind of lay down our criteria of like, all we really want to do is make sure that bad actors go bankrupt, because that criteria will ensure that the marketplace in the long term is healthy. And this seems to be the simplest choice to achieve that, because maybe our biggest problem at first is just explaining the idea, and the simpler we make it, the better, maybe. So that was kind of part of the reasoning.
Your earlier slides mentioned about good faith. How do you define good faith and bad faith from a dictionary point of view?
So the question is, how do we define good faith? In this case, it's kind of defined by however the buyer sees it. So if the seller posts a description of an item and the buyer receives the item, then it's kind of up to the buyer to decide whether what they got fit their expectations based on the description, and decide whether they think it's fair to make a payment or not. So yeah, it's kind of up to them. We hope that that's enough to achieve a healthy market, and that if it isn't, that the market would kind of work that out. Sellers would make better descriptions of the item that are more accurate. These kinds of things would happen naturally.
Is there anything in the marketplace to handle reviews? If this UK guy's cigarettes really are great or they really suck? Is there something in the marketplace to handle that?
So yeah, the question is, do we have any kind of reviews? No, we don't have anything like that yet. Yeah, our hope is just that the escrow system itself solves that problem. There are a whole bunch of tricky issues about reputation systems, especially in an anonymous marketplace, like how they can reveal who bought an item, which maybe they don't want revealed. They can reveal the extent of the sales that the seller made, which maybe they don't want revealed. So it's really tricky when you start to do things like reviews, and our hope is that we can avoid all that tricky stuff, all those potential complications with the escrow system. That alone will be enough to guarantee good faith actions. The one thing they can do is, when you look at each post, you can see the bit message address for the seller. So you could look for that same address, and eventually we might add a feature so you can like favorite an address or something like that, and that would start to kind of be like that, at least for your own recording of good transactions. John?
Have you thought about adding support for color coins so people could use maybe like fiat denominated currencies that can still have this multi-sig transaction, just so people aren't exposed to the price volatility during the escrow period?
So the question is, have we considered some kind of colored coin that maybe has a trusted third party that redeems it for fiat?
Yeah, just support for some color coin protocol.
Right. Yeah. One of the problems is that we do all of our prices in Bitcoin, which can be a little volatile. But our thought is kind of just to resolve that by letting sellers not accept the post if the price, changed too much in the wrong direction, and repost with another price. And we have a feature to remove a post, so the seller can send a message saying this post isn't active anymore.
Well, there's the transit period too, so it could be a week before the seller sends the item and they actually get their payment.
That's true. One thing that would distort the escrow system is if there were vast changes in prices, like more than a doubling in price could change whether their incentives are still aligned with their deposits. So yeah, that's a problem we don't really have a solution for. Hopefully it's not a big problem. Whether like an altcoin or something could solve that, I'm not sure. So far, we haven't seen any altcoins that would really, or color coins that would offer that, and they would all introduce some kind of trusted third party, which is it's a risk as well. Thank you.
Great. Make this transition smooth. So next up, we have Jeremy Gardner presenting on using the blockchain to predict the future.
Throughout the course of human history, beyond sex, food, sleep, and, survival, humans have had a few innate desires. You can find this in almost virtually every civilization. One of those desires is to bet. When an individual thinks they're right, they like to bet another that believes they're wrong. Another desire is to predict the future. What Augur does is it takes the former desire to help enable the latter. But before we get there, I want to talk about prediction making. Who should we trust when making predictions? Historically, we've had fortune tellers, tarot card readers, oracles. The ancient Chinese had something called oracle bones, which is some of the earliest dated writing, and prophet-like figures would divine the future and write on these turtle shells. Now, none of these mechanisms were particularly accurate. In contemporary society, we have pundits. We've got individuals like Bill O'Reilly and Paul Krugman, who, to give them credit, are often right, but they're often not. And this has proven to be a problem when we rely too much on punditry and don't choose to look at our own opinions. So then there's opinion polls. Now, opinion polls are good, and some of you may not be able to see this, but this is from late October 2012, in the midst of the general election between Barack Obama and Mitt Romney. Some of these polls were right. Obama was due to win. But most of them said actually he was not going to. And the ones that did only gave him a few percentage points ahead of Romney. Now, this is somewhat concerning because a lot of people believed that it was pretty clear that Barack Obama was going to win. And this kind of reverts to the notion of the wisdom of crowds. Now, opinion polls somewhat get at the wisdom of crowds. If you're not familiar with the concept, I'll run through a couple of examples. A few years ago, a Columbia Business School professor asked his 71 students how many jelly beans were in a jar of candy. And they guessed anywhere from 250 to 4,100 jelly beans. Now, they guessed on average that the average rate of error was 62%. The actual number of candies was 1,116. only 2 students did better than that average rate of error. However, if you took the average of all these people's guesses, what you got was 1,151, which was only 3% off from the correct number of jelly beans. Now, if these people have been betting money or that there have been more of them, you can begin to imagine that they would have been more accurate. This test has been replicated multiple times. To the right, you see Jeopardy, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, trivia game show. When someone gets stumped on a question, they get 3 lifelines. First is 50-50, cancel out half the questions. Not important to this scenario. Then the 2 others are phone a friend. Phone a friend enables you to call on an expert that you know that you think will have the right answer to the question you're stumped on. The other is poll the audience. Now you'd think, and most contestants do, that when they call the expert is going to be right. Turns out, the expert's only right 65% of the time. Not bad. But when the contestant polls the audience is right 91% of the time. Now, your average game show audience is not a bunch of Harvard PhDs. But the fact of the matter is that when you aggregate their knowledge, you can derive the truth or get closer to it. And that is the premise of a prediction market. For those of you that are not familiar, a prediction market is a market quite similar to a stock market where you can buy and sell shares. Instead of buying and selling shares in the future price of a company, you can buy and sell shares in the future outcome of an event. Sports, weather, you can do stocks if you like. And you can buy and sell yes or no shares, depending on whether you think the event will happen. Right here, you have the 2012 election, so instead of yes or no shares, you have Barack or Romney shares. But it's the same general premise. The price per share can only be between, on this market, which was hosted by Intrade, a popular prediction market, the price per share could only be between a penny and $10. Now, depending on how many Barack Obama shares were being bought, that would affect the price of Mitt Romney shares, because it's the same yes or no premise. So, if more people believe Barack Obama would be elected, and thus more Barack Obama shares were purchased, let's say the price per share was $5.85 out of $10. Correspondingly, the price for Mitt Romney shares were $4.15 a share. Now, what you can do in a market with liquidity and volume is take that price per share and understand it as a probability the crowd has assigned of the event occurring. Now, you may think this is crazy, you're just buying and selling shares. But if you look right here, which is October 21st, Barack Obama's at just about 60% probability of winning, whereas Mitt Romney's at probably 40% chance of winning. Now let's go back to those polls. I mean, this has been repeated multiple times. It was just most recently repeated in the UK parliamentary elections. Opinion polls had the Conservative and Labour Party neck and neck. The prediction markets that exist in the UK, one of the few countries where it's legal, had the Conservatives far ahead. Turned out the Conservatives were far ahead. You had the head of one of the major polling companies resign. I mean, it's a disaster, because what a prediction market does is that it doesn't just have people bet. It's a collection of all wisdom in humanity, pretty much. Literally, there's no resource you can't draw on to get the correct answer, make the right bet in a prediction market, which makes it more powerful than any individual tool on its own. Better than any AI, better than any machine learning that exists today. However, this being Intrade, which was quite popular, as I said, this is Intrade now. Intrade, you don't need to read the text. Intrade was shut down by the CFTC due to violating some commodities laws, and it had some internal insolvency around the time its CEO fell off Mount Everest. So you think, hey, well, Intrade didn't work out, but could another prediction market work? But like I said, there are some in the UK, but that's a small island nation, and most of the world can't actually access those prediction markets, as online betting, as prediction markets are often categorized, is illegal in 95% of countries. So you have these massive regulatory hurdles. But that isn't to say others haven't tried. In fact, the CIA, DARPA, and the Department of Defense tried to build their own public policy prediction market in 2006. But when Congress caught wind of it, their kind of puritanical views kicked in, and they saw it as a terrorist incentivization market instead of kind of a flagging mechanism that it would have actually served as. In 2010, the Hollywood Stock Exchange, which was a play money prediction market for predicting the future box office returns of movies, actually received a no action letter from the CFTC that said they could run a real money prediction market. Of course, Hollywood threw their arms and were like, hold up, we don't want you predicting the box office returns of movies we know are going to bomb, because in the first week, that's when we make all of our money. And we don't let reviewers review it until the movie comes out. So if you have people betting that a film's going to be a bomb before it's released, then people may not go see the movie. So Hollywood calls up its lobbyists. The Dodd-Frank Act, which was enacted after the major financial crisis, they called up their legislators from California and said, hey, just throw in a little stipulation about prediction markets, banning Hollywood prediction markets, and other things that might nuisance us. Sure enough, they did it. Dodd-Frank was a big act, and sure enough, it was passed. So not all hope was lost yet until Nadex, a derivatives exchange, tried to host a political prediction market for the 2012 elections. They got shut down. They couldn't get the no action letter, despite us knowing from the results of those polls versus prediction markets, that prediction markets are a really great forecasting tool. So, the reason why I'm here today is to present you with an alternative. Or, better, a solution. The solution is Augur. And instead of telling you about Augur, I'm just going to show you it. So we're going to exit the slideshow real quick. And we're actually going to go to this platform because we've got working alpha software right now. This is Augur. It is a decentralized prediction market platform. It uses the blockchain in order to create a robust global software that allows anyone to make predictions. Let's see if we can make this any more visible. It doesn't really matter because our alpha testers are not the best forecasters, so the odds on almost all these markets are totally skewed. But what you have here is a platform that anyone can download or potentially access through a WebSocket and participate and create markets, assuming they have access to cryptocurrencies, which pretty much increases with every passing day. You can go to a market such as apes will rule the planet by the fourth quarter 2019. I'm actually kind of bullish on that, so I can go and I can buy some yes shares, and I can buy like 100 shares, and I can move it up to 40% because, you know, it's not a very liquid market. And then you can also create markets. All you need is your cryptocurrency of choice that works in our system. Hopefully sidechains will make virtually all cryptocurrencies compatible. And our primary cryptocurrency will be a stable currency that maintains par with the US dollar, just so there's no compounded risk in making predictions, because, you know, you don't want to make a prediction 2 years out and have the price of the currency you're using have a greater impact on your winnings than the actual event itself. But you can go and you can submit a market. You can say, all right, give me a second. I'm loud enough to not use this. You can say, will the price of Bitcoin be above $500 USD by New Year's? Yes, of course. And then you set your trading fee. You can set it to any amount that you want. You can set it to 5%, of which you will receive half of all the trading fees on that market that you're creating. So every time someone bets, 5% of their bet, because that's the odds that I set, you receive half of that. Then you set the initial liquidity to incentivize people to use your market, because keep in mind, anybody else can also create the same market. So you want to set your trading fees low, liquidity high to incentivize people to use your market. And of course, word it well. You click next, and then we'd go to January 1st. And then you let that baby rock. You just press submit. Not going to do it right now because I probably spelled something wrong. But it's the same general notion. This is incredibly powerful. You have a platform that's as intuitive to use as Amazon.com, but it allows you to create a global prediction engine. You can look at all the markets that you hold shares in, all the markets that you've authored. You can promote them to friends. And you can use it as a way to derive truth in any situation. There are many examples of how a prediction market exactly can be used to benefit society. I created a couple markets, let's see if we can get this to work right now, that are good examples of how this would work well. But what you can do is, we've spoken to major insurance companies, and all of a sudden you can create decentralized insurance markets. So I can create a market, let's see if we can get this to go, yes. So I can create a market that says in 2016, there will be over 600 millimeters of accumulated rainfall in Argentina's Salta province. Now, this seems totally arbitrary and strange, but in Argentina, they don't have crop insurance. So what that means is when a farmer has a bad crop cycle, or there isn't enough rain one year and all of his crops die, he's shit out of luck. Now what I'm doing is creating a market that he can go on his computer. Most people, even in the developing worlds, have computers these days or smartphones, can go online, and I set the odds at 100%. Set a high amount of liquidity. Now he can hedge against his crops now by buying no shares. Of course he wants that rain to occur, but should it not, he now has a hedge against his crops. The money is there, and should there not be 600 millimeters at the end of the year, he now gets some of the money back that he would have never had because he doesn't have insurance. You can apply this to all sorts of scenarios. A venture capitalist can go and he can say, Augur's for-profit will raise at least $3 million in its seed round. We're a nonprofit right now. But what he can do is see what the crowd thinks. He can draw on the crowd's wisdom. If the crowd believes that Augur's for-profit deserves at least $3 million in its seed round, more people buy yes shares. Nobody's bought any shares yet. So, but more people buy yes shares, then he should finance the round, because obviously the crowd thinks it's a good idea, and it's a way to kind of draw on that accumulated knowledge. Thus, when he funds them, the crowd is rewarded for making that bet. If they don't make that bet, those who bet no are rewarded as well, and the VC's out of a little bit of money. But it's a win-win situation. I can't really emphasize enough the limitless applications of the software. Every time I give a talk, the applications people come up with kind of blow my mind. But before we go any further, I want to explain how we keep the system totally decentralized. Because in order to have a decentralized system, there can't be a central point of failure. Typically, in a prediction market, you'd have a single individual or a company that says whether or not an event happened. Of course, if that's the case, you end up like Intrade. We don't want to fall off Mount Everest. So, instead, you create a system that allows not just a single individual or a single API, such as ESPN's, to say what happened, but a system that allows thousands of people to say what happened. And that's through a system called reputation. Reputation is a cryptographic token. It's somewhat similar to Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency, but what its function is as a sort of score. It's a score that's attached to a user's address. Now, the vast majority of users will not have reputation. Those that do will buy it in a crowd sale that will occur in the next couple of months, about 2 weeks after Ethereum's Frontier launches. And it consists of 11 million tokens that will ever be created, all released at the end of this crowd sale. And reputation allows its holders every 8 weeks to report on the outcome of events. Was Hillary Clinton elected president? Did the Patriots win the Super Bowl? And you write, and you click yes, no, or there's an answer 0.5, which is ambiguous, indeterminate. People write a bad question, or unethical question that incentivizes malicious behavior. And those 3 answers allow you to maintain a fully decentralized system, at which point there is no single point of failure. Now, when people are honest and they report every 8 weeks, they receive more reputation. And they receive the other half of the trading fees in the system that were garnered from the trading fees created by the market maker earlier on. Now, however, if you try to lie, collude, manipulate in the system, or just forget to report on the outcome, you lose your reputation and it's redistributed to the good guys. It's the most meritocratic system that exists in the kind of cryptocurrency space today. Now, as I've repeatedly said, the applications for this technology are endless. I've kind of just composed a very short list of the various applications that individuals have kind of suggested to me. Some seem more outlandish than others, but it's all tenable when you create a system that's so as intuitive as this. It's a very simple yet robust platform. We really couldn't be more excited about it, but I know you guys have a bunch of questions, so thank you so much for your time. Questions?
Prediction is based on future, not in the past.
Right.
So actually, if you were to apply your example to today's problem of prediction, to Greek crisis, the crisis in Greece, can you just put that in your model here, what you predict for the next 6 days?
Yes. So the question was, could you create a market about the Greek crisis, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so I am fairly sure we have one. So the question is, will inflation in Greece soar above 20%? It seems the market broke. But yeah, you can create a market about anything, and it can be for as short a time period as you want, or as long a time period as you want. Although there's definitely a sweet spot that will be found over time, Once this system actually goes live, right now we have an alpha that anybody can visit by going to augur.net. But once we go live, we'll start to see how these market dynamics truly work. But a 6-day market seems totally tenable to me.
Yeah, but earlier you said you could predict. This is prediction.
So what you get is when thousands of people are buying and selling shares of yes or no, Greece will default on its debt. What you get is a probability, because the price per share in our system is between less than a penny and $1. So let's say more people buy yes shares of Greece defaulting, so it costs like 57 cents for those shares and 43 cents for no shares. You can take that 57 cents per share and understand it as a probability of Greece defaulting. Now, of course, there's going to be fluke events, but what we're predicting, pretty much, is that when you take the wisdom of crowds, more often than not, they're going to be correct in predicting the future outcome of events.
Yeah, but in your earlier slides, you could search for the prediction where you type something. You type something about something. Can you type that today?
Yes.
Real time?
Yeah, anybody can create a market. Anybody can create a prediction that anybody can participate in.
Can you do it now?
Yeah.
Greece will exit the euro, 100%.
Well, yeah. Do we have that? Oh, yeah. Well, Greece exit the euro. We actually already have that market right here. Do you believe yes or no?
One trade.
By July 9th.
So there's only one trade.
Yeah, so right now we're obviously in our alpha testing stage, so there's a limited number of volume. Yes, please.
How do you determine the honesty of the individuals with the initial reputation built?
So we use something called K clustering. Now, I shouldn't be answering that. If you have a question, Joey over there with the glasses and the blue polo can actually explain the algorithms used to like kind of determine the liars. We actually have a great new blog post about creating a decentralized lie detector. So I really encourage you to go to augur.net, just check out our blog. It's our most recent blog post, and it explains in detail, several pages, how exactly we point out the liars. I'm just not going to do that right now.
Can you explain really quickly in the context of reputation, what happens in the case of like disputes about the input data, the conclusive data, which is to say, like in the rainfall example, if two different agencies recorded different rainfalls, and one was on either side of the fence, right? It wouldn't necessarily be the original market maker's reputation at stake, but it would be the money. So first of all, most of these markets are going to auto-resolve themselves. In that, when someone buys and sells a share, they're most likely not going to wait for the reputation holders to report on the outcomes, because that takes a little while. More likely, when the event resolves, they're actually going to begin to sell right then, because then they can get their money back. They have to pay an additional trading fee, but it becomes more intuitive, and then you avoid those sort of disputes. But I think as this system evolves, a lot of the participants are going to realize that if you want to create a market that people use, you have to be incredibly explicit in the questions and predictions that you make, or else there leaves those sorts of ambiguities that I didn't even consider. But yeah, that's clearly a problem. And that's kind of the nature of decentralized systems. Early on, there's going to be some confusion, but as people get used to the system, they're going to know how to word questions better. Is there a reputation market for outcome data sources?
What's that?
Is there can you use reputation for output data sources? So like, if there's a dispute between two agencies, the market decides that one is more trustworthy than the other. Just to say.
So yes, so you could say.
The market maker, but
Oh, Joey, I don't believe.
I guess to answer your original question, if you have like something where there's two agencies and they report the trading fault, there's two ways to resolve that. One is when you make the market, you can basically put in a range of acceptable values, and people are always in like some certain number. They don't get penalized. The other way you can control that is put in determinant or not, which is say it's an indeterminate market. Things like rainfall and is you can also specify which officials.
Last question.
All right, so as a former professional gambler, I'm very excited about the
This is not gambling.
But if, like Uber, in 5 years, Augur worth $50 billion, and it's doing so well, like this has potential, obviously. What about regulation? What if people start wanting to predict Hollywood movies or political outcomes, and Dodd-Frank Part 2 comes along, etc.? Or so, do you just leave out the U.S. or?
How much time do I have? Okay. All right. So yeah, good question. I assume someone would ask this. There are a few facets.
Repeat the question.
Am I going to jail for building something like this? More or less. So there are a few facets to this answer. First of all, we are not a for-profit corporation. We're an open source, non-profit foundation, kind of like the Linux Foundation, kind of dedicated to improving this software. That foundation, of course, is only kind of maintaining this code once it's released. It's not deriving any sort of profit. There was an important case in the 90s called Augur versus Daly, which determined that open source software code, or actually all software code, constitutes free speech, as long as you're not deriving profit from malice, which we clearly fall under that protection. So as long as we're writing the code, and that's it, and maintaining the code, we're protected under free speech. Secondly, this is a totally decentralized application, so we have no control or ownership over this software. We can't stop markets that are created or not, nor do we profit from the markets that are created directly. So that's important. We've spoken to several regulatory agencies. At the end of the day, none of these regulatory agencies have guidelines towards decentralized applications. You know, it's a whole new beast. But the way you can think of this most simply is like BitTorrent. BitTorrent is a software service provider. It's literally just a platform upon which you can upload and download torrents. They don't control which torrents you upload or download.
It's like Napster.
Well, Napster was centralized, and they did control that, and that's the difference.
Intrade is Napster.
So you can think of Intrade as like Napster, and we're like BitTorrent. Whereas we don't control the content, but therefore we're not legally responsible for the sorts of markets that are created. I can give you a much longer-winded explanation afterwards. I've already done it once today, so I'm on a grind. All right, thank you so much, you guys.
Okay, wait. Stop talking. So I'm going to do a couple announcements right now. And then we're going to do the lightning talk. So there's still like 5 spots left. There's a sheet on that table right over there if that person can hold it up. Thank you. If you want to sign up for a 1-minute lightning talk after I do these announcements. Okay, so next week we have our social event at El Rio, which is on the 9th on Thursday, as usual. So we provide via Coinbase a set of open tab for you guys to come and enjoy each other, and there's no presentations or anything. And on July 22nd, we actually have a special event, which I haven't announced yet. This is kind of the first announcement. I think it might be the first announcement of any of the groups. So we are doing a collaboration with the film crew that did Life on Bitcoin, and they're going to be showing the movie at Internet Archive. So if you've been to Internet Archive, if you went there when we had the meetup there last time, it has this big Christian Science Church pew room on top, and it's really cool. So that will be on July 22nd, probably around 7. And it's going to be like a $5 donation suggestion type thing. And I think we're officially announcing Purse as a sponsor for that. So thank you to Purse, Andrew and Co, who are here, so thanks. And then clearly we're at a new location right now. This is Runway Incubators. I guess they didn't do like an intro or anything, but this is a really cool space. They kind of incubate startups. As you can see, there's like a long line of startups all the way down. I don't think they really want you going down there, but it's cool that they do that. And thanks for hosting us and giving us the space to use. And actually, so the next 2 months, we already have venues set, which is like first. So next month, we don't quite have speakers lined up, but obviously we'll get that done. Next month is going to be at the Amazon pop-up store, which is like a couple blocks down Market. I think it's between 5th and 6th or something like that. And it's a really cool spot. We went to look at it the other day. So that's going to be at the end of July. We'll be at Amazon, this Amazon pop-up store. So obviously we'll have the location on the meetup page. And then in August, we're gonna actually be at Internet Archive again, so that'll be cool. I think I'm gonna try to get some like non-profit presentations to kind of coincide with that. So yeah, that's it for announcements. Thanks to Coinbase as always for giving us money. They've been doing it for a while. And so now let's do lightning talks. So
we've got lots of free stuff in the back, bottle openers and t-shirts and stuff, so grab those, please. Thank you.
yeah, there's a big box back there. Definitely grab some of their stuff. So if you signed up for a lightning talk, just come to the side over here. Let me grab that paper. Wait, stop talking. Wait, you guys were supposed to do that after. What? No. Everyone that's grabbing it. All right. So lightning talks, we'll just start doing that, and hopefully everyone grabbing a shirt in the back will pay attention. Chin Chong, you're number one. I am going to try to get the internet working on my computer, but it's complicated, so start talking and you can talk for a little while if I can.
Hey everyone, my name is Chin Song. Just a quick question. Now that everyone's a little toasty with their alcohol and beer, how many of you guys actually support medical cannabis? Anybody? Raise your hand. I support it. I love it. Me and a team of mine, we actually work in the cannabis industry. We work for one of the top 5 dispensaries in San Francisco, and we actually are going out on our own, and we're going to be providing medical cannabis to the Bitcoin community locally. We've got all our licenses and things figured out now, and I thought everybody would be excited about that. So we have our website ready. Everything's good to go. Our paperwork got approved, and we'll probably be ready to launch by the end of this week. We have a lot of connections within the cannabis industry, so we're going to have really great quality product for you guys. I just wanted to come out here and let you guys know so we get some exposure. But
what's your website?
It's goldengatesgreenest.com.
Yes.
So check it out. Come on and get verified. And we're also a veterans organization. I'm a combat veteran myself, and I got other team members who are combat veterans, and we're going to be providing free cannabis to veterans as part of our organization. That's going to be forever. All right. Thank you very much.
I wonder if that was the thing. I should be connected. I am. I'll just try.
Hello, I'm Ryan Taylor. In addition to doing the live streams of these Bitcoin events, I'm also the front-end developer for a project called Alexandria. It is a decentralized peer-to-peer application that allows for permissionless permanent publishing by anyone, and also allows audience members to browse, search, and stream any of the content that's published. We just released our alpha, which is available on our Twitter page. It's Alexandria P2P. Our website has the development roadmap, so you can check out features that we have now and features we're looking to add, and we will be open sourcing the code within the next few weeks. So check it out. Thank you.
Christian?
Hi, I'm Christian, and I work at BitQuest, and we are the Minecraft server that runs on Bitcoin. You can play Minecraft and trade with players, buy items, sell your stuff that you craft, and everything with Bitcoin microtransactions inside the game. And we're making a new game that is a standalone, it's not a modification anymore. And I have download codes here if you want to try the beta. Thank you.
and I run Blockchain University. We have a course for developers and entrepreneurs. The course is being taught by people like BlockCypher, Josh Cincinnati, guys from Block.io, Chain, Ethereum, and others, BitGo, Ryan Charles, and such. So we have a next cohort in Mountain View starting at July 18th for 8 Saturdays. Mornings are the lectures, and then the afternoons are time to build projects, and followed by a demo day. So thanks a lot.
Hello, my name is Zuko, and my company is working on solving Bitcoin's privacy problem using this cryptographic protocol called Zero Cash that you might have heard of, and we're hiring. We're going to hire one hardcore Bitcoin core C++ juggling engineer and one storyteller. We have the best team of scientists and engineers you've ever worked with, and we're backed by a slate of really great investors. So if you're interested in that, get in touch with me. If you can spell my name Zooko, then you can find my email address on the internet. Thanks.
Rick?
Hi, I'm Rick Chan. I'm the COO of Airbits, and we're a mobile Bitcoin app, and we're hiring for 3 different positions. One is a community manager, one's a mobile IS, and then mobile Android. So come see me or email me at rick@airbits, AIRBITZ.co. Thank you.
Joe Knight?
Oh. It's looking right at you.
So, first announcement I want to get out of the way. This coming Saturday is Buttonwood SF, which is my Bitcoin trading meetup's 2-year anniversary, and we're going to be celebrating it this Thursday at Nakamoto's down at 20 Mission on, I think, 2415 Mission Street. Thanks a lot, Nakamoto's and First, for hosting that. But right now, I'm here to talk to you about BitSeed. This is a company that I co-founded with some really awesome people. We develop a Bitcoin full node hardware. It's a real physical thing that you plug into power and plug into a router. Within a few hours, you have a Bitcoin full node that's got a full copy of the blockchain and is helping to support the Bitcoin network and move the Bitcoins from A to B. So if you're interested in buying one of these devices, or you have some comments or questions or criticism, please go to our website, bitcoin.org, and send us a message. Bitsy.org, send us a message, and if you want to buy one, we accept Bitcoin.
No, I put up Bitcoin.org. I just wanted to do a really quick poll because it's hard to get a good sense of where people's opinions are on things when you're looking at Reddit and just looking at IRC. So I want to get a quick poll in general of the audience. Who supports bigger block sizes, and then who supports a hard fork via a fork of Bitcoin a la Bitcoin XT? So number 1, who supports bigger block sizes? Let's go with 8 megabytes in a year. Hands. Okay, who supports a Bitcoin XT style hard fork where there's a fork of Bitcoin and one of them does a bigger block size, one doesn't? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you have a website?
Hey guys, I'd like to know what Augur thinks about that. So my name's Lauren. I've been going around teaching corporations about Bitcoin, spoken to PayPal, Computer Associates, ran LORNE, yeah. And I ran the O'Reilly Bitcoin conference. So if you guys know any companies that could use some Bitcoin education, let me know. I have a whole set of stuff to teach. And laurenlance.com.
I'm there. I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'll call my ISP. Thanks, guys.
Okay, I think that's it. I kind of just wanted to make a quick announcement that Ryan, our live streamer, his car broke down in San Diego today, and he rented a car and drove up here to live stream this. So...
have any money to spare, maybe a few bucks, I'd throw it that way, or bitcoins or something, I'm sure he'd be happy to take them so he can pay for his rental car. So, all right, everyone, thanks for coming, and we have more beer and wine, so please drink it. Yeah, we could probably put it up here.